the dog was totally me, just one person, and then we did the rest. We did the lights, effects, all of that. That's me in a big tank full of smoke. I did. Remind me, write it down, the stories of those two. I got some great stuff. You guys will be like laughing because I was funny. I was the bunt of their joke, actually. Sigourney Weaver, very tall woman, walked around in a plaid coat giving us candies and Christmas presents because we shot this around Christmas time. So very sweet lady. The only person who was really kind of mean was Rick Moranis, and the people who were really mean were their stand-ins. Go figure that.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. People that treated you meanly were these people standing in. You're like, what? Are you serious? Ernie Hudson's first film. He was excited as I was, so we became really good friends. And I adore Dan Aykroyd in this movie. He has a great ability to look about 5 years old. And I just love it. I watch it. This movie still gives me about $2,000 in residuals every year. It was shot in 1982, came out in 1984. My biggest residual for the movie, and it's not about the money, but it sure is about the fun, was $44,000. I bought a car. I was 25. So it was very exciting. I built the Marshmallow Man. People were asking me, what did you build? We built 18 Marshmallow Men. 3 were called heroes because they were the non-burning suits. A zipper in the front, a zipper in the back, and a zipper on the side makes him look seamless depending on how he's shot. The other, he's actually about 6 feet tall. There's a human inside performing him while I manipulate the face with other puppeteers.
So why 18 suits?
18 suits because 15 of them caught fire. They were made to burn. And fire sort of destroys everything, so you got to have some backups. You'll see in a minute. They were L200, which is a white foam you find in safety knee pads and arm pads and helmets, that white squishy foam. And then on top of that was a fireproof foam, which we covered in a fireproof gel, and then we covered it in 100 PPI, that's points per square inch, white foam, like the kind you sit on in chairs. And we stretched it over the body in order to make it look, and then the head is done in latex. The hat is latex. The collar is flocked.
Hot?
Say again?
Hot and heavy food?
They're hot and heavy, really big. He had a library in his stomach. The guy put a library in there. All the face articulation is us.
So this was, Marshmallow Man was like walking through like New York.
Yeah, he's walking through a miniature of New York.
It was basically like green screen too, right?
Yeah, in the back it was green screen, yes. Good question. Now the fire is Joe Viscoso. You may know Joe Viscoso. He loves fire. He won an Academy Award for Independence Day and the explosions and stuff from that. He's the one playing the burning arm. Joe Viscoso said if he hadn't learned pyrotechnics, he would have been an arsonist, so thank God. The explosion of the building. An interesting thing. The explosion of the building is a miniature. Richard Edlund, the effects, said, is everybody sure we got every shot of the building before we blow it up? They said yes. And then they blew it up and somebody said, wait a minute! And we had to rebuild it all again. Here is 2 characters I was the team on. Bob and who's the other one's name?
Reed and Bob.
Reed and Bob. We did them, and also the scrubbing bubbles you sort of see crawling around. Then in a minute you'll see the shark guys coming up. A shark bounty hunter, I did him. Performed him, guy in a suit, and then I did his facial expressions. He was cut from the film as a bounty hunter, lack of time. I also did a one-liner in this film that was also cut, not this one, this is the first one, of course. But then we'll get, this is the second one. There I am, the shark character, I'm doing his facial stuff. This is Rick Baker, right here, doing the thing, and I had a scene with him, but they cut it due to time. And then I did Team Worm Guys. Didn't do the voice, just volunteering.
Rosario Dawson.
So you did
The performance of it. Yeah, I didn't build anything in Men in Black, that was somebody else. But I'm very well known in the puppetry world, so I'll get called often to do the stuff, that if they have stuff that we perform, they'll call me into audition. I also did Team America, but then every puppeteer on the planet did Team America. And I did the crying people. This guy is my crying guy. And I also played really scary. I also do Samuel Jackson in FAG. It stands for Film Actors Guild, Screen Actors Guild, so I play Samuel.
Why was it scary?
It was scary because when I first met them, well, most of the time, first of all, they sent out a memo saying, no one will talk to us, no one will interact with us, leave us alone. And I was kind of like, okay, that's weird, but okay, whatever. And I was not a fan of their show at all, so I thought, this is good, I won't embarrass myself. This is Wild America, but they came in and one was wearing a pajama top and the other was wearing a pajama bottoms. I don't know what that's about, I never found out. These are puppet bears, opposite Jonathan Taylor Thomas. We performed these angry, aggressive bears. I also sculpted the bears. So the heads are mine, the paws are mine, I'm the paw that attacks him. We also did puppet snakes, that was my paw. We also did puppet snakes, and we did it with real snakes, and the guy came on the intercom, we were underneath the set, and he said, don't move, one of my snakes is loose, it's poisonous.
Oh.
And we're like, oh! Oh, it's unbelievable. So, so you did have some more questions, so let's do some questions, and I'll show you the other one. More questions?
Did you also work with green screen too?
Yes. A lot of green screen, a lot of green suits, I'll show you in the photos.
John Fitzgerald.
From red removal.
Red removal, red, blue, and green are the ones. Blue, we stopped because a lot of people who are performing with us were blue, and then they looked like they were shot, you know, because the race is all blue, right? But as long as you have a good personality disposition, it's awesome. We're ready with this one?
Yep.
Okay, we'll run this one. The reason I want to show this is because a lot of you are animators and many of you are video. And the reason I would like you to see this is because when you animate a feature, you usually are animating it, but then you pre-record the script and then you animate to the voices. So this was done for Disney. This is Country Bear Hall. The only way you can see this Country Bear Hall is to be invited by Disney to go to this ranch. You cannot go on your own, and it's still there. Anyway, Disney wanted to pre-record the voices of all the characters, and we said no. And they said, no, we're going to do all the voices, and then you're going to be. But in puppets, you have what's called the happy accent. So, can you hear this part, Travis?
Come here. You see, Henry said,
Voice
we
will
do
change,
this
that's
here
mine.
concert and we raise that $20,000, we can tell that little weasel banker to...
And then the real voice.
Watch your grass. Over yonder, a monkey.
Trying to run away? Trying?
Yeah.
So this was an outtake for the two of us, and the reason it's funny is because he kept going, are you gonna act that slowly? And we said, yes, it's driving me crazy, and I said, I know. So, but we had to because of the suit. Asked to go to New York, I was really surprised. I was very young, and they usually don't take girls. See, in California, the only way a woman could do puppeteering is if she could do the voice. Otherwise, they cast men. Which is the way it was. And so I did a lot of my own stuff. And if I can give you guys advice, don't let society tell you what to do. Just make it happen for you. In today's, you got YouTube, you have the internet, you have so many opportunities to help people get a clue about how talented you are. So I met Jim In 1982, I went to New York, and I asked Tony if I could meet Jim, and he said, I actually really didn't want to meet Jim Henson, I confess. I couldn't figure out how Miss Piggy was made. And I had watched it, and I thought, it doesn't look like felt covering her. Now understand, I built all my puppets, so I couldn't figure out how she was made, so I wanted to find out. So I was taken to the Jim Henson office. The minute Jim saw me, because I was a woman, he walked right up to me. Who are you? What are you doing? Da-da-da. Because many women didn't do puppets. Women like to wear makeup. Women like to look attractive. Not really conducive when you're inside the couch instead of on top of it, or under the floor instead of on top of it, crammed in a tree, crammed in a toilet. Makeup just doesn't work. So a lot of women didn't want to do the job. So when Jim saw me, he automatically thought, good puppeteer, because she's with Tony. There's only 3, do the math, 2 guys, 3 guys, 1 girl. And he started to interview me, and Tony stood between us and said, she's mine, like I was some sort of possession. And I was like, what are you talking about? We haven't worked in 5 years. What do you mean she's mine? What is this caveman attitude? Like, I don't know what you're asking, but if you're looking for someone to be a puppeteer with you, I'd really enjoy that. And Tony said, no! So I found out Miss Piggy was flocked, which is a process using electricity. They put some felt inside, they scissor carve the head, then they put a foil inside, and then they use the electromagnetic current, glue, and then glue is on the face, and then they shake this flocking, like you kind of flock a tree, and the hairs stand on end and cover the whole thing. That's how they do the muzzles of the bears. That's how you get all that soft, pretty look of some of the stuff where the hair stands up so nicely. That's all done with this process, and I was fascinated by that. As I was leaving, a door opened, no kidding, like a trap door, like you see in the Muppets, and something was shoved in my pocket, and it was a card saying, call me. 2 weeks later, I called Jim. Jim said, when can you fly out to New York? I said, never. He said, what do you mean never? This is 1982. I said, I didn't like New York. Any place where there's methane, because there's too much trash underneath, coming up in smokestacks is not a place where I want to live. Too noisy, too uncomfortable, no, I will not live there. He said, what makes you think you can work for me and live where you live? Dave Goles, who plays Gonzo, lives in California, Northern California. Kevin Clash lives in Baltimore. Steve Whitmore lives in Atlanta, and last time I looked, that was not in New York. And he said, wow, you've done your homework. I said, I love the Henson Company. I want to work for the Henson Company, but I can't work in New York. So I'm hoping that maybe we can work at some point together, but not in New York. And he said, okay, I'll think about it. In 1989, I was an Imagineer, and I worked from 1987 to 97, and in 89, Jim Henson called me up and he said, guess what? I just sold the Muppets to Disney. I'm coming to California. I'm auditioning people for Muppet 3D Theater, and I want to see you. And you better be good. Because no one says no to Jim Henson. Believe me, I'm going to make you the back end, the south end of a northbound horse. You got me? Gotcha. And he said, bring your portfolio. I understand you're a really good artist as well. So I auditioned. Now, in California, when we auditioned with puppets, we usually auditioned one-on-one. So Jim liked to audition us in groups. So most of the puppeteers in California got mad. How dare he? Who does he think he is, coming to California and making us all share our secrets with you others? Okay? But I thought, again, I can be angry and cranky. I can be the one intimidated, or I can intimidate. So a long time ago, I learned a lesson, and the lesson was, when you walk into a room and people are auditioning, getting ready to audition, you don't need to worry about the people studying their lines, or painting those pictures, or they're in front of the mirror performing, or they're in front of the camera performing. You have to worry about the dude reading the paper. That's your problem child right there. That's the one to be, the one reading the paper. So I said, I want to be the one reading the paper. So I walked in and they said, Terry, you need to pick a puppet. And I looked at the puppets, tried them on, and said, oh, that little girl looks good, I'll take that one. Do you want to be in front of the camera? No, thank you. Want to be in front of the mirror? No, thank you, I've got a book. I sat, and I remember everybody performing. Guy next to him says, aren't you nervous? No. But no, I'm going to intimidate. So they call us a land. Now I gotta admit, you may have one person in your life that is hell-bent on your destruction. Anybody have that? Can I think of anybody right now? One person who hates your guts.